Huawei has reimagined its P-series flagships, and the result is this, the Huawei Pura 70 Ultra. The Pura 70 Ultra is Huawei's latest entry into the Android camera phone race. What's special here, and is the phone worth going for despite the lack of Google support? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our full review. Huawei's popular P-series phones are no more. Enter the Pura series, of which the Pura 70 Ultra is the top flagship model. The camera system has been revamped since last year's P60 Pro. The main cam has a large 1-inch type sensor and a variable aperture lens that retracts when it's not in use. Huawei says it's tested to last for over 300,000 retracting cycles. Besides the change in cameras, compared to the P60 Pro, there's an upgraded display, a different chipset, a bigger battery, and faster charging too. The design is quite distinct here. The camera setup is huge, with an interesting multi-step triangular layout. The phone has an eco-leather back, which curves at the edges into the frame. It's soft and provides nice grip. The frame is rounded and made of polished aluminum. Overall, the Pura 70 Ultra feels quite solid and premium. It also has IP68 rated ingress protection against dust and water, as you'd expect from a flagship phone. On the front is a 6.8-inch LTPO OLED display with a 1260p resolution and a 120Hz refresh rate. It's protected by something called Crystal Armor Kunlun glass. The Crystal Armor glass is advertised to be 300% stronger than regular Kunlun glass, and scratch resistant too. The screen glass isn't flat, it curves slightly at the edges. The display has very thin bezels, and with a pixel density of 460 ppi, it's quite sharp. There's support for 10-bit color and HDR10 video as well. The LTPO tech means that the refresh rate should be extra adaptive to save energy and able to dial down to 1 Hz while idling. But like last year, it seems the phone's integrated refresh rate counter isn't able to capture this. It shows much less variability. There is a slight improvement in brightness this year. We measured about 630 nits maximum with the manual slider, and this could boost to over 1200 nits in auto mode when exposed to bright light. For audio, there's a pair of stereo speakers. They're not as loud as the P60 Pros, with an average score for loudness, but the audio quality is very good, with nice sounding vocals and highs, and enough bass. The phone has an under-display fingerprint scanner for biometrics. It's snappy and reliable. And the globally available Pura 70 Ultra comes with 512 gigs of storage on board, but unlike previous Huawei phones, this isn't expandable through memory card. The interface of this phone is Huawei's latest EMUI 14.2, which is built upon Android 12. EMUI looks quite familiar. You get a separate notification center and control center, similar to what you'd get from Apple or Xiaomi. Cards are back too. Tapping and holding on certain apps will open a set of options without needing to open the app first. And you can organize apps into large folders, which allow you to open the shortcuts with just a single touch. You don't have Google services or apps here. Instead, EMUI 14 relies on Huawei services and apps, and their proprietary App Gallery app store. The App Gallery sometimes shows ads when you open it. The app selection it offers is constantly growing, but there are still plenty of notable omissions compared to the Google Play Store. There are other ways to get the apps you want. With the integrated pedal search, you can find apps outside the gallery, like developers' websites and other app repositories, and install them from there. And now there are options like Gbox, a virtual machine which acts as a workaround by letting you install and run some Google apps, including the Google Play Store. And from there you can download and install other apps to try. I say try because while Gbox allows many of these apps to run, not everything will work properly. And finally, since the phone has an IR blaster, you can use it to control appliances remotely. Now we have the chipset. The Pura 70 Ultra uses a Kirin 9010, which is mid-range class silicon. When it comes to raw power, the Kirin 9010 is about on the same level as the MediaTek Dimensity 8200. In benchmarks, the Pura 70 Ultra delivers numbers typical for an upper mid-range phone. The performance is solid, and enough for a smooth everyday experience, and even some gaming. Still, it's far behind what other current flagships can deliver. And you also don't get support for 5G connectivity here due to Huawei's restrictions. Also, the thermal management here isn't great. During our prolonged stress tests, there was significant throttling, and this wasn't stable either, with sharp dips and spikes. The Pura 70 Ultra has a much larger battery capacity than last year. It's gone from around 4800 mAh to 5200. With it, the Pura 70 Ultra was able to earn an active use score of 12 hours and 29 minutes in our tests, with good numbers when it comes to calls and video streaming. And charging has been improved. It's 100 watts now. Like before, the adapter has both a USB-C and a USB-A port, but you can only use one at a time. With this adapter, we were able to charge the phone from 0 to 58% in 15 minutes, and 90% of the battery was charged at the half-hour mark. A full charge took 48 minutes. There's also support for 80-watt wireless charging and 20-watt reverse wireless charging. Now onto the cameras. There's a total of 3 on the back: a 50-megapixel main cam, a 50-megapixel 3.5x telephoto, and a 40-megapixel ultrawide which has autofocus. The primary camera is the most interesting one, with this 1-inch type IMX989 sensor shift stabilization, and a retractable lens with a variable aperture. The aperture is adjustable in a range of 9 fixed steps between f1.6 and f4.0, and is useful if you want to manipulate the depth of field. It's not the first time we've seen a variable aperture from Huawei. Shooting at the widest f1.6 aperture will give you a shallow depth of field with a blurred background, while at f4.0 you get a deeper depth of field with more of the scene in focus. As far as the quality goes, the main cam's 12-megapixel photos are outstanding. There's a ton of detail, and the rendition is nicely balanced and natural looking without extreme sharpening. Colors are accurate, and the dynamic range is not super wide, making for more realistic photos. Huawei also advertises that the main cam can detect fast-moving objects and increase the shutter speed automatically. When we shot this crow on the move, not a single photo came out blurry. The main cam provides 2x lossless zoom, which lives up to its name. The quality is almost the same as the standard photos. You may see an artifact here or there if you look closely, but it's rare. In low light, the shots from the main camera are again excellent. They have plenty of detail, no visible noise, superb color saturation, and good exposure. The dynamic range is great too. The noise reduction does seem a bit strong at times, and is probably responsible for the polished look you get in some photos. Now on to the telephoto camera. Its 3.5x zoom photos are excellent, rich in detail with no noise, accurate white balance, and lively colors. Like on the main cam, the natural rendition once again deserves praise. The telephoto camera also offers telemacro capabilities, as it can shoot from as close as 5 centimeters away. The macro close-ups look great, with a naturally defocused background. The telephoto camera offers up to 10x hybrid zoom, and at this level of zoom, the photos are not just usable, they're quite nice. Of course, there's less detail, but there's still enough. The noise is cleaned well, the colors are accurate, and the sharpening isn't overboard. In low light, the 3.5x zoom photos are solid. There's a decent amount of detail, the noise is kept low, the color saturation is great, and the dynamic range is superb. Now the ultrawide cam. Its photos have a very wide field of view, and the quality is great. There's plenty of detail, balanced sharpness, punchy colors, and good dynamic range. Since this camera has autofocus, you can also use it to shoot macro close-ups with. They're good, but we prefer those from the telephoto cam. At night, the ultrawide photos have a good amount of detail, low noise, great dynamic range, and excellent color saturation. The exposure is bright, but not over the top. However, the heavy-handed noise reduction seems to lend a washed-out, blurred look. Selfies come from a 13-megapixel front-facing cam which has autofocus, and there are 3 zoom levels available. No matter which zoom option you choose, the selfies are superb. They're sharp with a ton of detail, low noise, vivid colors, and great dynamic range. The rendition is quite natural too. Finally, we get into the video quality. The Huawei Pura 70 Ultra captures videos in up to 4K resolution at 60 FPS on all of its cameras. Unlike the still photos, the daylight video quality is good, but far from the best we've seen. It's more of an average showing. We expected more detail here, and all the videos look overexposed. The dynamic range is super wide, the colors are mostly accurate, and there's no visible noise. The nighttime videos from the main cam are competitive, with a lot of fine detail, saturated colors, and good dynamic range. And electronic video stabilization is always on, and it works great to smooth out your footage. So there you have it guys, the Huawei Pura 70 Ultra. It brings a unique design, a great and well-protected OLED screen, and fast charging. The retracting main cam is an interesting touch, and when it comes to still photography, this is one of the best camera phones around. However, there are some downsides here. The video recording quality is not as good as that of the stills, and the chipset is nowhere near as powerful as competing flagships. There's no 5G support here, and of course you don't have official Google support. In the end, if you want to take excellent photos, and you're fine with using workarounds to get Google's apps and services, you might consider the Pura 70 Ultra, but otherwise you can find more convenience and value elsewhere on the market. Thanks for watching guys! If you're looking for alternatives, you can check out our reviews of the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra and the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.